You're listening to the Act As If podcast with Coach Roel. Real life success stories in business and investing as they happen. And now, here's your host, Coach Roel.
Welcome to this episode of the Act As If podcast with yours truly, Coach Roel. And this week, I am very happy to have joining me on this episode an old friend of mine. I guess I can say that, right? Mm-hmm. Old friend of mine, Annmarie Kuch, who is a real estate investor and a coach as well. Surprise, surprise. We were just talking about how we have a few coaches and real estate investors, but that's just the way it is. It's in my circle of friends that as we were just chatting before I started recording, it's kind of funny when you actually do the crazy kind of creative finance and step out of your comfort zone kind of real estate investment deals that we've done, the natural next progression is to share that and to pay it forward. So welcome. How are you, Annmarie?
Thanks for having me, Roel. This is really exciting. It's so great to see you. I'm great. I'm really, really good. Like I said, happy to be here. I love, the real estate environment. I always have, and I just love, engaging with people and sharing our knowledge. And so I'm really excited to be here. Excellent.
So it's been a little while since we caught up, and I'm just curious to find out how things are going in a couple different areas. We used to have some really good talks. We used to be on the road together doing trainings and stuff for Rich Dad Education and a few other brands. And so I kind of miss those talks. So I'm really happy that you've made the time to chat with me on this.
Yes, I agree.
So the first area I'd like to ask you about is what are you up to these days with your personal business? How's that going?
It's going very well. We've got some great investments happening, a little bit of diversification. We've got some land development deal happening with other investors, quite largest we've ever done. New territory, we'll say, right? So the great thing about real estate is, as much as you learn, you're always learning with every deal. There's always something new to learn. And then also into a strategy, that we haven't done before. So that's really exciting development of land, Muskoka, with some cottages.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned that this is the biggest land development deal that you've done so far. Have you completed some other land development deals since last time we caught up?
We've been, I'll say a silent partner. So let's say that. So we've been involved in investments being more of a financial sort of investment private deal, from that perspective. So not really acting and not really being involved actively. So this time is very different. Very much leading the group and figuring things out as we go. So using our resources, our education, our support system, and just learning. You have enough knowledge to start and to get going. But then also, as we know, when you put feet to the pavement and you actually start actioning, that's where you really learn on how to navigate it.
Mm-hmm. So on the investment side, help me out. Are you considering that as your active business, or is that purely on the investment side?
It is active. Yes, absolutely. It's our active business. We are involved and we're leading it, like I said. So it's not really passive, and we are actively involved in making it happen on a day-to-day operational, I guess, if you want to look at it that way, perspective. Yeah.
Okay. And is this just on your own? When you say we, that's who's involved with that?
Yeah. So we have some investors involved with us. We have three investors altogether. Two are partners, and then we have another investor. And interestingly enough, it's a very great group because of the strengths that each one of the partners brings, which I think is really key and important when looking at partnerships and joint ventures, is to really understand, who's bringing what value to the table and what skill sets are there. It's okay to have some overlap, but also we want to make sure that there's no gaps in those skill sets. So everyone's fulfilling a really integral and important role that the other members don't have or are not as experienced with.
Mm-hmm. 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 So what are some like big wins or victories that you had since like the last 3 years? I think it's been about 3 years since we caught up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we've had definitely had have helped people find homes. So, the rent to own program and really finding, leading and helping people into home ownership, which they didn't have other options about, which is really near and dear to my heart. So, a lot of the real estate that we do, a lot of it for me is really integral on helping someone, where they don't have the knowledge or experience or the contacts to be able to achieve what they want to achieve. And they just need help, but they don't know how to do it. So I'm really happy about doing that. So, great success rate with that. With those deals. And then, also investing with joint ventures in other areas like properties as well. So buy and hold properties, multi-unit family. And so that as far as, the business side of things, really just, a lot of partnerships, a lot of giving back. But things have changed over the years. Like some of our strategies, which I was working on before, are necessarily different now. Life happens, things happen. And so it can change your trajectory and it can change what you do. And also your interests can change, your needs and your interests. So that's what's happened to us after we've done this for a while. You kind of see what has happened in your life, say your personal life, and how it affects, everything, your real estate and your whole outlook and how your needs change. And so, that's why evaluating what you're doing, how is it working? That's what I do on a consistent basis. It's more detailed wise, maybe quarterly, and then on a sort of a more we'll say path moving forward, a long-term plan more is, maybe, a couple times a year, right? Just looking at that and reevaluating and then just adjusting. Sometimes you might just adjust a little bit and other times you might adjust in a bigger way. So, we used to do, I think, a little more active investment strategies. And now we had a bit of a pause due to, family situations in life happening and taking some time away from that. And now, switching a little bit more to the longer term, more passive and longer term strategies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. With the rent to own, for those who may be watching this on YouTube or listening to the podcast version, could you give kind of like an overview of how you're able to help people to the path of home ownership through rent to owns?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So, when people are wanting to own their homes and there could be a snag in the road, there's a reason why there's a challenge they're having and a reason why they can't get granted a mortgage. And as a lot of investors, and I'm sure as well, Roel, because you're very heavily involved in real estate, is that the mortgage rules keep getting tighter and tighter. And although we have some great interest rates happening, the rules are changing, and they've changed a lot significantly over the years and tightening up, making it harder, for some people. So if you're, new to the country, if you haven't established some 2 years of credit history, if you have some bruised credit, or if you don't have enough money saved up as well for a down payment, for instance, then these are all things that can get in the way of home ownership. And when you don't get, approved for a mortgage, then you don't know what to do. And what are the mortgage brokers, how are they going to help you, right? And a lot, and some of it as well is obviously credit counseling, right? It's like, where do they teach that these days? How to deal with your finances, credit counseling, how to prepare for home ownership. You can purchase those courses, but, generally speaking, we don't see a lot of that education happening. So we got to find important, knowledgeable partners. So we help, we partner up with mortgage brokers and realtors, and we partner up, and they have these clients that have these needs. And then we assess the situation, and the mortgage broker that is very well versed in these kinds of strategies to help homeownership, we go through the process and we vet them and we make sure that it's a win-win, that it's a great fit. If it's not a great fit, then it's not a good product for this situation. And so we just allow them to, we counsel them with the mortgage broker. We set up an individualized, personalized plan. And wherever the need is, whatever the gap is, we help fulfill that. And we help over 1 year, 2 year, 3 year term, however long it's going to take for the client to get into a strong position where they will get the mortgage. They will get approved for the mortgage. But the great thing is that they get to go out and pick their own home. Like, this is their forever home. And we call them a tenant buyer, because first they're a tenant, but then they're a buyer. And it's really set up for their success. And I'm really proud to say, we've had 100% success rate with all of our programs. And some of them have been, a lot harder than others, but, we're in it for the success of all parties involved, right? Or we won't do a deal. So we really help them every way we can to be successful.
Excellent. And now on the other deals that you're doing now, as you were mentioning, that we kind of progressed and wanted more challenges, different types of investment deals, particularly on the land development and the multifamily. So I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit and give you the platform to kind of brag a little bit. What's the biggest deal that you're most proud of having completed recently? What did that look like?
Definitely the land development.
Yeah,
definitely the land development. Number one, long-term plan. So long-term development, taking about 2.5 years, right? So also the process in which going through it, a lot of learning, a lot of new learning that wasn't known before, and working with city planners, urban planners, working with so many different kinds of real estate people that we haven't worked with before, and understanding zoning and understanding, land separation and what you can build and where you can build it and what do, all the different, one property that we have, there was like, I think 4 or 5 different types of zonings that we had to adhere by. And so if you think about, the size of a piece of land, like 11 acres, it's like you think you could build a community on there. But in our scenario, and particularly where it is and what the regulations were, that wasn't the case, right? So it's a lot of big learnings. I'm really proud of all the learning, the new territory, the biggest development and biggest deal that we've ever done.
So walk me through that. And so it was 11 acres. And then what did you initially want to build on it, and what did you end up building on it in the end?
Yeah, well, we wanted to build several cottages, right? So first of all, when we started the project, we looked at, what's the best use of land? Like, what's the highest and best use, right? Just like we always do with a property or with some land. So then we look at that, what is in that area, in this particular area, what is needed? What is needed? Because what we learned is if you can get in alignment with what the urban planners and the city plans have, then it could make things a lot easier for you to work with them, right? Where they're going to give you, approve your designs, and they're going to approve so many, the number of dwellings and all this kind of thing that you need approvals for. It's going to be a lot easier for you to work with them if your little project fits in with their bigger plans, right? So we kind of look at that first, and we looked at what we could build. So we wanted to build, at least we were thinking about a dozen dwellings, properties, and it could have been, we were thinking of townhomes, and we were thinking of stacked towns, and then a certain block of them, and having 2 of those, and so it could have been 12, could have been 24, even we were thinking of, and in the end. And this is such a hilarious learning. But in the end, we were able to build 2 large luxury cottages.
Oh, 2 on 11 acres?
Yes, it is. That's right. Because of the zones, because the different zone, because we've got wetlands, and typically, just a lot of detail into fact, like things like if you're waterfront, usually you need 100 feet variance, right? Well, if you have any wetlands around you, it's 500 feet. Right. So you've got that to consider. Then there's a highway nearby. And then there's all these other variances that we have to, and also what does the city want there and what don't they want? Like, quite frankly, right? I mean, it just comes down to that as well. So it was a long process, a lot of learning, and very, very excited that have gone through that, and a fantastic learning as well about private equity and private lending and all the rules around that and how to raise private money.
What are some little juicy tidbits that you can share with me that you learned that you didn't know before having when you didn't complete the project yet? What did you learn about private equity?
Well, I learned that there's a lot of money out there. Number one, there's a lot of money that people have out there. There's a lot of, sometimes when you're an investor and you're on the working side of things and the working partner, you think that, where am I going to find money? Where am I going to find money? But there's a lot of money out there, right? So it's just getting connected to that, and a lot of different types. So what I learned was how much, legally speaking, how much money does it cost, to actually be in that position where you're raising funds, what kind of funds you can raise. So registered funds versus cash funds, right? And what legal obligations there are and what the risks are if you don't register the, like the funds that you are accruing and you're getting from your investors, partners. And what the risks are if it's not secured, right? So it's a lot more complicated if you're raising private funds and you're securing those funds against something, and then if you're not, and you're doing things like promissory notes and things like that, which are totally unsecured, which then you get into a whole realm, which I didn't really want to necessarily get into, but I didn't know that. I thought, do I want to get into it? Well, I'm not sure. And this is why the quality of your decisions are so important and backing that up with the due diligence and the information gathering that you go through to make sure that you know everything before you make the best decision, right? And that you talk to other people as well who've done what you're doing before. So very grateful to have had those resources as well to tap into.
Wow. Sounds like a great learning curve that you went through.
No, yeah, absolutely. It was amazing. Yeah.
How about with business and investing and all the great stuff aside, how are things on like the personal front? How are you in terms of your personal goals, like aside from money? How's that going?
Oh, personal goals are going very well. So, there definitely, was a time where those weren't going so well because, in life, you try to have balance, but when you are in certain areas of your life, there's not going to be balance. And that's just the way it is. You're going to be, working a lot on your projects, on your investments, and you won't have as much time to fulfill some personal, we'll say, like the goals are definitely aligned as far as, the business and the personal, but then on a even more personal side, sometimes that takes away. So that has happened over the years. And now I'm more focusing on myself. I'm more focusing on, giving back to myself, being healthy, being well. And so, because I know I'm always, giving, the type of person I am, I'm always giving to others of myself, but I know I have to take care of myself first. And that was a bit lacking before, but now I see the great importance of health and wellness. And I have some really great practices that I've been keeping up with, and putting that into, it's just part of your lifestyle. It's part of your life. So that's really not going to ever change. And it's really helped me significantly. And I know you do some of those practices too. So you share in that with me and how much it can bring to your life. Yeah. Can
you share any of your personal victories on that? Any milestones that you were able to achieve in the last little bit?
I would just say, yeah, I can. Like definitely, quality of life, like energy, and feeling really good. And, the other thing is just energetically being a positive person, practicing gratefulness and positivity, and really just share. And also because I love what I do, that is very helpful. I really find a lot of joy in what I do. So it really spills over to my personal side. And yeah, some, personal goals have been a certain amount of, type of lifestyle eating, right? So eating very healthfully, exercising, like walking every day and doing meditation as well. And just finding some really good, it just gives me a quality of life that I'm really happy about. And it has provided some really great focus and clarity in my mind. So in my brain,
Great.
in my mind on a daily basis, where I'm very clear and feel that I am, all cylinders are firing. Let's say that, right? Where you just feel really on the ball, you have the answers, you have energy. And so I'm really happy about that. It is a huge accomplishment.
That's excellent. And we didn't touch about your coaching these days. I did introduce that part. So how's the coaching going?
Coaching is great. I love coaching. I have a lot of clients and members, and they're all from novice to experienced, active investing strategies, passive, properties, equity investing. So just all different kinds. And I love it. I absolutely love working with people, no matter where they're at. And, I know that, if you heard me on the phone, you would hear me laugh a lot too, right? So I have a lot of laughter with my clients, and I really, it's when I'm where I want to be. It doesn't mean that I'm going to necessarily be doing that forever, but for right now, and that's all that matters, being in the present moment, I'm really happy with what I do. And I really find a lot of fulfillment and joy, and make sure that I'm checking in with my clients all the time, that I'm providing value, because I want to make sure that the value is there from their perspective, not just from mine.
That's excellent. I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah.
And, I really do appreciate the time that you took to catch me up on your life. Yeah. And I'm really excited to see what is next in store for you for the next time that we catch up.
Sounds great. I'm excited too. This is really nice to spend this time with you and connect again. And I'm really excited for what you have going on, and excited to catch up again in the future.
Awesome. Well, till next time, Annmarie, take care.
All right. Take care.
So join us next time for part 2 of the Act As If podcast episode with Annmarie Kuch. And this episode was the Act As If part. So we're going to catch up with Annmarie and unpack this past experience and find out how much of what she shared with us was actually happening right now, and how much was her vision for her future. And we'll just catch up with her as she is today. So make sure to catch that episode coming up next.
You've been listening to the Act As If podcast with Coach Roel. Real life success stories in business and investing as they happen.